This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 230. This week, Brad and I go to yet another summer camp when we watch an episode of the Rooster Teeth produced series, Camp Camp.
Now let's go check out the camp, kids! The first stop on any good tour is the flagpole. I can't help but give it the official Camp Campbell salute every time I see it. Beside the flagpole is our mess hall, which... Oh, sorry, saw the flag again. Beside the flagpole is our mess hall, which is connected to the quartermaster store. It's here that we'll serve meals, hold announcements, and occasionally take part in camp activities. Tell him just how much you love it, Max!
See, that's the sad thing. He still actually thinks that I love it.
Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better.
Boy.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly.
Man, where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. Thank you for joining us once again to talk about cartoons this week. I'm Jake Williams, but I'm not the only voice of reason, I guess you could call it, on this show. I brought along Brad Chmielewski to talk cartoons as well. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. I don't know what voice of reason meant. I don't know what I was going
I know,
with
yeah.
that.
It seemed like I have a higher purpose here or something now.
Yeah, no, guys, we need to really talk about what's going on here with the show. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going great. No complaints here.
The holidays are up and started. No matter where you go, the Christmas music, like literally on the way home from Thanksgiving dinner, my wife had Christmas music on. Like it was over after that.
Yeah, we've been playing in the office. We played it a little bit here when we were, decorating the tree today. But
yeah,
I probably should. Maybe I'll listen to it tonight as I'm doing some work. So
it's like that. It's all the lights and stuff. Of course, where I'm at in Michigan, it's like still leaves everywhere and stuff. So it's like half fall and not that cold yet. Like we've had some cold days, but so not quite there. I think it's not officially Christmas until it's like you get a little bit of snow.
I guess, but that's you, right? That's
right, yeah.
I've thought about this before, like, oh, this like white Christmas, or like, oh, it doesn't feel like Christmas because there's not snow. But what? That's like 20% of the world, or yeah, I don't know. I just made up that number, but that sees snow for Christmas. That seems like crazy, right? Like,
yeah, no, right.
We associate snow with Christmas, but so many people don't have snow. But
right,
yeah,
really,
it's a weird thing.
This isn't even a cop out, and it's going to sound like the sentimental answer, but like. Being with my family is what Christmas is, like being around for the holidays and stuff. Yeah, thank you. I didn't need to put the awe track in there at all. So
heartstrings, you're pulling on them.
It's funny we're talking about Christmas, but we're actually not talking about a Christmas show at all. In fact, quite the opposite, which is kind of funny.
It's summer camp.
We'll have to do another Christmas something. We'll do a holiday something in the next couple of weeks here, but and actually, I think next week's show will possibly be in the same office. We'll be in the same room, so we'll have I'll have a different backdrop. I guess you'll have a different backdrop too.
Yes, sometimes. Yeah, I could change the backdrop now, and that night happened.
Technically, for those watching the video version, Brad's talking about his green screen that is so nicely placed there. So this week we're going to talk about a show called Camp Camp. This is a show that I can't believe I hadn't heard of, and now I'm super sad that I didn't.
Okay, I'm super sad now that I do.
Yeah, no, I only say that about, I don't know, I can't come up with a good thing that's not Bobby's World to bash here, but yeah, man, this show is it's I guess you can call it a web series, but it's got so many episodes it just feels like a regular cartoon. Aside from the fact that some of the episodes are fairly short, sometimes you do get like 8-minute episodes versus 10, and they go by way too fast. Yeah. But this was a show that's actually produced by Rooster Teeth, and Rooster Teeth, for a long time on the web, was the home of Red vs. Blue. That was the first time I ever saw them, which was a machinima series where they use basically in-game assets from the game Halo, which was 2001 or something that game came out.
Yeah, something like that.
So they used in-game assets and basically filmed them acting out scenes with the characters on like different battlegrounds and stuff, and gave them characters, and it kind of blew up. Like, it was a pretty big web series, and I looked it up the other day, dude. It's still going, and it's completely lost on me. Like, I'm OG Red versus Blue is like the last time I watched it, like season 2 or something.
I've played like one game of Halo in my life, so I never watched Red vs. Blue.
So like, I think that was the draw to it. Was the game was so popular, and I played the game, so I happened to watch it as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I still think I have a buddy who loves that series, and I think we're so far removed from it. We still like the humor, but going back and watching some of those episodes, like the production values, it's a little like the audio is a little like cringy to listen to. Not in context, but in like just the quality of it is a little like not great. It's a little tough.
And then Rooster Teeth was also who was behind Ruby.
Yeah.
And our buddy Brad Stark, he was on that episode.
Yep.
So, it's nice to see that they're now doing a lot more stuff.
Oh, they have tons more stuff. Like, it was kind of crazy that I kind of knew they had turned into one of these new sort of like, what do you want to call them? Like independent media, like juggernaut kind of things online.
I guess so, yeah.
Juggernaut in the sense of like they're independent, so they produce things, but they have a ton of stuff. Like Nerdist had a ton of stuff. Kevin Smith's podcast network has a ton of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of like produce all kinds of content for you to watch. Also I saw, so I know that our buddy Stark, who was on the episode that we covered Ruby on, actually watched season 3, so it was pretty sweet. And there's also a Ruby chibi. I don't know if it's a series, but it's like a tiny cute version of the Ruby characters, it looked like. So
maybe we need to get him on to do that.
Do the chibi one?
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. I actually, oh man, we're turning this into an episode about Ruby, but like, I'm curious to know if, remember when we watched seasons 1 and 2 of Ruby, it was like basically 2 movies instead of a whole season. I think that was probably because of when we watched it. We watched it pretty late. And there was that whole thing with like the founder passed away or the creator passed away, and yeah.
Yeah, we watched it before season 3 was starting. So I don't even know if I think it's past that now.
I mean, we even talked about the differences between 1 and 2 production, where it was like 2 had background people in scenes, you know, like stuff like that. So, but enough about Ruby. Tons of great stuff over on Rooster Teeth. Definitely go check them out. They're making some fun stuff, including this show called Camp Camp. This is a show that was created by Jordan Cwierz and Miles Luna. Sorry, Jordan, if I mispronounce your name. I forgot. I looked it up before the show, but it's like spelled crazy, and I'm terrible with names. It premiered on June 10th, 2016, so it's only a year old, around my birthday time, too, on the Rooster Teeth website. 2 seasons, 25 total episodes up to this point. And it originally aired as part of Rooster Teeth's Summer of Animation promotion. So actually last summer, it sounds like they had a pretty big push to make original animated content, and I'm all for that. Mostly because...
Yeah, it's kind of like a cartoon or... Yo Bam, I don't know, what was the other one called?
I know they had What a Cartoon was another
What a
thing.
Cartoon, yeah.
I love these shows. I think there should be more of these things. You obviously probably can't do them all the time, but lots of great cartoons came out of pilots or mini-series that landed in these little like promotions of animated specials and cartoons and stuff. And I think that's totally worth doing. It's something that I was complaining to my wife the other day about how there was like not a lot of great animation on Netflix. There's like the original stuff is all basically like DreamWorks animated stuff to extend their films in a way.
A little bit, yeah, I guess so.
And it's great, but I guess it's just not my cup of tea because I didn't see a lot of those movies, so I don't know what the show's about. I don't know anyway.
Mm-hmm. There might be other stuff, and it's just like the Netflix UI is one of maybe the most terrible experiences on the internet today. So it might be there. They just have no reason to draw you to that stuff.
I will say it's pretty. Like whatever the newest update, which was like, gosh, probably a couple of years ago now. Look, their homepage looks super nice until you start scrolling and you're like, oh God, why am I getting these categories at all?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Kind of interesting that I didn't even come across the show, but it seems pretty unassuming, I guess. Even the name Camp Camp is kind of funny. I will tell you how I found it though. I was listening to some nerdcore rap, some of the stuff like Mega Ran.
Okay.
Right? And a guy that you and I like listening to, Richie Branson, who hasn't done a ton of albums, but I was like, man, Richie Branson has such a great sound. I was listening to him and some great hip hop stuff. And then suddenly this track came on. It said Camp Camp. And I was like, what the heck is Camp Camp? And after doing some digging, I found a soundtrack that also featured some of the guys from Turquoise Jeep. So like Flint Flossie and Young Humma. And they're all on a bunch of tracks for this show called Camp Camp that looked like a cartoon. I looked it up. I was like, this is a marriage made in heaven. This is awesome. But so far as I can tell, the hip hop songs really only come in the credits, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that's why, like, when the credits of this episode we watched rolled, I was like, whoa, that got, like,
hard.
thuggy.
Yeah. It, like, doesn't fit, but it's kind of, sure, like, fine.
I was like, yeah, okay.
It reminds me of, like, what Silicon Valley did. It was always have, like, kind of like a loud, like, energetic song at the end of an episode or something like that. But so Camp Camp, what can you expect from an episode? Of the 25 episodes you can kind of get, here's from sort of the fan Wikipedia, which is really well updated, actually. I have to hand it out to all the people who actually keep that up to date, because it was super easy to find anything and everything I wanted on the fan wiki. So Camp Camp tells the story of Max, who is a jaded 10-year-old who finds himself stuck at a dysfunctional summer camp run by a shady business mogul who's looking to turn a profit any way he can. The cynical Max will have to survive annoyingly cheerful counselor David, the weird cast of campers, and bizarre surprises at every turn before he can escape for home. So, Brad, this is the, I think, third or fourth summer camp cartoon we've watched, which is kind of funny. But very different in scope. We had the WWE one, which was, very much focused on, like, okay, brash, like, wrestler kids on camp. Camp Candy was another one we did. I guess technically the episode of Denver the Last Dinosaur we did was also, they were at camp or something like that. So, but Camp Camp is the camp of all camps. That's actually literally what the name is.
The camp of all camps.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So some of the characters we'll talk about today, of course, we just mentioned Max, who is the main protagonist. He's the main kid in the series. And the two other main campers that you come across a lot of are Neil and Nikki. Neil is more of he's into science. He's the nerd kid. He actually was hoping he was going to science camp, but actually turned out he was at generic camp here. And Nikki is energetic and mischievous is the way I would describe her. I think she likes to get into stuff. She likes to see stuff blow up. Like, she's kind of a crazy girl. Very atypical, I think, of the girl character you might see in, like, a camp story. I feel like the cheesy, like, cliche thing is to put, like, a girly girl who's like, ew, bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, Nikki's all along for the ride. You've also got David and Gwen, who are the two camp counselors that we come across. David is the ever so cheerful guy who's, like, annoyingly positive about absolutely everything. Gwen is a little bit more, it's like kind of just her summer job and she doesn't care, but she does it anyway. That kind of thing. You've also got the quartermaster, who's like the groundskeeper Willie, but he doesn't really talk. He's just like an old grumbly man. And I will say in episode 2 gets pretty dark. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
So he's an interesting character. And then, I think it was, I forgot the guy's name. His last name is Campbell. But the owner, the founder of the camp itself shows up in this first episode. And he's the person who mentions that he's kind of like a shady business mogul. And it's kind of interesting what we come across. So the show is also, it looks like a kid's show. It animates like modern kids shows do. Modern cartoons do, I should say. But it is pretty brash and like pretty not safe for work in some spots. Like
no, there's a lot of language.
They definitely drop the language, but it's like, oh man, doesn't it do such a weird thing? Like when they drop an F-bomb or say shit or something, like you just weren't expecting it, so it like hits you harder.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. You're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't prepared for it, but I got used to it as the show went on. So today we're going to chat about the first episode of Camp Camp, produced by Rooster Teeth, Season 1, Episode 1, Escape from Camp Campbell. This, again, came out last June 2016. As far as I can tell, guys, actually over on Rooster Teeth's, so they have a paid service over there. I think it's called like a first account or something. You can watch all of it over there with a paid account. However, on their YouTube, you can watch all of Season 1. So all of Season 1 is free. But it looks like you might have to pay if you want to watch the second season, which I'm going to guess came out this year.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this first episode, man. Escape from Camp Campbell. We started the episode where I guess this is where Camp Camp partially got its name. We have a wide shot of David, the camp counselor, and Max looking pissed off that he's at this camp. But you see Camp Campbell in the sign, but the bell has been like worn away, so it's like Camp, and it just makes them look like they're idiots, right? Like, guys, fix it. It says Camp. It's ridiculous. It's like a Target who's like one of its letters went out on a sign and it spells something funny, or I don't know. That's kind of what it feels like. In this first scene, we actually have Max, who's at this at the like head of the camp, and basically waiting for the bus is all he's doing, while David is trying to encourage him about all the great things you can actually do at Camp Campbell. But Max is not having any of it. He's basically telling him, like, why do you think I actually enjoy this? I know that the bus comes 2 times a day, and I'm waiting for it so I can come and steal it and get on it and go home.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Brad, do you ever go to like summer camp at all?
No, I never. Well, I went to like Boy Scout camp for like a week, but I feel like lots of TV shows and movies, they do camp where they're like gone for the summer.
Yeah.
And one, I never had friends that did that who were gone for summer. Maybe like a week, like with the Boy Scout camp kind of thing, but never like a whole summer. So I don't know if this is just like a movie thing or, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, or maybe it's just where we grew up. It wasn't like a thing. I'm not really sure. I had gone to like day camp, which was basically just, instead of sitting around the house all day, my parents sent us to, it was like hosted in an elementary school, and a bunch of kids would like take a bus at a certain time. You could go home at lunch and come back on another bus, and there would be like activities and things to do all day. There'd be like playtime and whatever. But my sister and I would just hide in a bush by where the bus was and not get on the bus. And then when the bus left, we would just go home and jump back in the window and play video games all day. And then go down the street to walk home as if like we were coming home. Like, so our parents like saw us. It was, I just wanted to play games. I didn't want to go to camp. Come on. Anyway. So back to the show. Max doesn't want to be here at all. David is annoyingly positive about all this. And I think early on here is actually where we get introduced. The bus does show up, and we get introduced to the other 2 campers, who are 2 of the main campers you're actually going to see, Neil and Nikki. Nikki, of course, excited because she thinks it's adventure camp. And Neil, who is entirely confused that this is not science camp. And basically right away, you kind of get like Max tries to steal the bus, but the groundskeeper, or the quartermaster rather, by the way, has a hook for a hand, which is kind of a great character design, unexplained character design thing, at least unexplained to this point. You get right away that Max has almost like recruited these guys, Neil and Nikki, to be like his trio of like, we're going to be the 3 people who caused you a terrible summer.
Yeah.
And right away, we get some interesting things. We get some facts from, like, you get to see how much David loves Camp Campbell. He's talking about, like, there's this great scene where he's like, oh, this is the flag, and he always salutes it. And then in the middle of him talking, he's like, whoop, saw the flag again. Had to salute, like, stop what he was doing. There's a lot of great slapsticky stuff in this show like that's pretty great. We try to get introduced to Gwen here, but all of the other weird campers, there's, like, a weird astronaut kid who's flying around on a fan. So she's she's throwing silverware at him to stop him, to actually get him down. Like, this camp is just chaos, and we just arrived. It's the weirdest place on Earth. So I can kind of see why Max doesn't want to be here at all.
Right. You watch more, but I'm interested to learn more about this astronaut kid.
Yeah. I don't think he is in the second episode. So I'm through episode 3, I think, at this point. He's in the second episode, which is pretty funny, and he doesn't get featured in the third one yet. But
okay.
So David starts telling the campers about some of the features, or at least the first new campers, Nikki and Neil in this case. He was going to play them a song, and of course Gwen continuously tells him, I swear to God, if you play that song, like, don't. He always seemingly has a guitar behind him ready to play it. They get out the laser disc to actually play the video to describe what Camp Campbell's all about. And as he's describing, David's like going on and on, reminiscing and talking about how great the camp is, how much history it has, how much he loves it. And in the background, this ladder comes down from an attic, and this older guy in like his underwear comes down, sees that everybody sees him, goes back up, and then gets dressed and comes back down. Turns out this is the owner, who was supposedly supposed to be traveling the world, so he couldn't be bothered to be at Camp Campbell. it appears he's actually just hiding out from the FBI.
Right, because then we get a good shot of them like trying to arrest him or like chasing him, showing up there.
This video will explain everything. It was put together by our founder, Cameron Campbell, back when I was an eager young camper just like yourselves. He was an absolute legend. Is an absolute legend. A savvy businessman, extraordinary philanthropist, and one heck of an adventurer if I do say so myself. Oh, it's true. Mr. Campbell doesn't often have time to come visit the camp anymore, what with him traveling the globe and, I'm assuming, saving lives. But he'll always live on in our hearts and minds. It's like the man always said, we're here to have a great summer and camp a diem. Oh, if only he were here now.
I'm here now.
Mr. Campbell? What are you doing here, sir?
Well, I'm certainly not hiding from any authorities, if that's what you're thinking.
We don't know a lot about this owner, except that he seems very confident in whatever he's doing. He seems to not really care about his business, just that it's enterprising. But yeah, we do get these shots of like FBI squad car, just happens to be outside. Wonder why that would be at a kid's camp. Mm-hmm. So the other meaning of Camp Campbell is then shown, I think, in this next scene, which is you get almost like a town square kind of vibe where there's all of these different activities set up to be part of Camp Campbell, or in this case, Camp. There's like skate camp. There's like a busted ass like vert ramp that a kid just rockets right through. There's two kinds of magic camp. One is like real stage magic. The other is like illusions, and they're different. It gets talked about in the second episode. They're different camps. There's theater camp. There is a science camp, but it's like all this old, broken material and stuff. There's like art camp. They're basically calling this place Camp because it's a camp of camps.
Yeah, which is pretty hilarious.
I love the idea that it's just like a little bit of everything, but everything's kind of terrible, which is sort of weird. And it's not until Neil gets really pissed off that he didn't look at the brochure, and there's a tiny fine print that says "and more" in the middle. So it says like science camp and more. Basically, apparently all of the brochures say this because I think even Nikki pulls out her adventure camp guide and it says "and more" on it. And so then we get this impassioned speech from the owner who's saying about why he founded the camp. He was like, too many kids are spending time on their phones and they're not hanging out in the outdoors and they're not doing these activities. And I just wanted to make the greatest summer camp possible and I'll never leave this place. Then he just starts getting shot at by the FBI and has to run away. He actually uses your favorite kid so far, Brad, the astronaut kid's helmet as like a shield.
Yeah. That was
before
great.
A helicopter picks him up and he heads off. Like that was the end of that guy. I haven't seen him in 2 episodes since.
I had one goal and one goal only, to create the most popular and successful summer camp in the world. But times have changed. Things like the internet, video games, and the Affordable Care Act are ruining this great country of ours, and the children of today just aren't interested in a traditional summer camp. But America isn't a traditional country, so why settle for anything less? You've got 2 acceptable counselors, one hell of a quartermaster, and endless possibilities here at Camp Campbell. And by God, as long as I'm here... Code black. Well, look at the time. Gotta go.
They do make a break for it. Basically, Neil is, even as timid as this nerdy kid is, he's fed up with it. He was lied to about that this is actually a science camp. So the 3 of them make a break for it to actually head off to the bus so they can get away. And the way they do that is they convince David that, hey, maybe you should play that song that you kept wanting to sing. We actually start learning this song. You'll see in the 2nd and 3rd episode, if you check those out, that the song he sings is a version of the theme song. That becomes the theme song for the show. And it's a song all about how much they love Camp Campbell, or how much he loves Camp Campbell, and how great it is. The actual theme song is longer and just features, like, it feels like hundreds of things that happen at this camp, like that the camp has. So it's kind of fun. So they make a break for it. They run by the quartermaster, who's just like, no running. Don't run to the bus. They get into the bus. They finally made it away. I think he even threw his like first day at camp badge at David to stop him. he's like, "You're not gonna see this face again," or some crap to David. And the very next scene is the bus crash because, yeah, why would 3 kids think they were ever gonna be able to drive a bus?
Right, and then the cops showing up, and you kind of get the idea that this happens all the time.
Yeah, he says something like, "I'm really tired of coming up here, David."
Yeah.
Or something. So, also apparently the town's called Sleepy Peak. I love it.
Oh, all right, they said Sleepy P. I was like, Sleepy P, that's wet dreams.
Yeah, man, Sleepy P. And the end, of course, is David is like still extremely positive about all of this, even though the bus is busted up. The cops came, the FBI was there and shot at people. Gwen has had enough, smacks him over the head with the guitar, and we get the credits with the very hard. I think this was a Flint Flossie track, which was kind of fun. I can't remember what the track was. Oh, I think it was called "Call Me Naughty Farmer, I Grow Straight Freaks" is the song. It's so weird. So this was season 1, episode 1 of Camp over from Rooster Teeth. Escape from Camp Campbell is the episode. So Brad, now that you've seen it, what are your thoughts? I'd love to get your opinion on this show.
Yeah, I dug it. I like the style a lot. Like, it wasn't. I feel like it's a little different. It's closer to maybe our Camp WWE kind of style, where it's not noodly arms, but it's not like as high quality as Disney, but each character has like a really nice look to them. So that's really cool to see. And I guess the story, it's simple. It's like easy. I feel like there's so many camp shows, right? There's so many camp cartoons. Like, we've watched a lot of them. Camp WWE, Camp Laszlo. What's the
The John Candy one was Camp Candy. Oh, Tosh has a camp one too.
Yeah, isn't there the I forget what his is called, but it was on Comedy Central, and there's just so many of them that like it's an easy format because you can throw anything at camp, and you're kind of like, yeah, that's fine. That maybe wasn't my camp, but maybe no one went to camp, so we just all have an idea of what camp is.
Yeah, it's so weird that we all kind of know what to expect from a camp show, but why are they all off at camp? You know, like, why is, everyone knows Friday the 13th is a crazy, like, popular horror series. Yeah, it's like a summer camp movie. Like, it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. I have never met anyone in my life, real life, who's gone to summer camp, like, for the summer.
Yeah, like, actually went away. There was one camp in 6th grade we went to for like a week, but it was like a field trip kind of thing.
Yep.
But that was the max, not summer. Summer's a long time, man.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, man, this show has such a great look to it. I love the look of the characters. For some reason, just the snappiness of the animation is great too. Like, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. There are parts of it that feel a little unfinished, and I'm not sure. I mean, it fits the show, but I just mean unfinished. Like, did they have to get some stuff together before this, like, to meet this deadline, to hit this, like, whatever, this promotion that they were part of with the Summer of Animation or something? Because the characters all have their great detail, but sometimes the backgrounds are just like shapes, and it works, but it just throws me off a little bit. And honestly, guys, I'm probably watching this with like too close of an eye, right? Like, it's not something I need to pick apart like that. And I guess the only other negative is that the colors kind of bother me because it's all like very muted, very brown green, like everything kind of fades into each other.
It's kind of campy and kind of worn. It's got that worn look to it.
In a way, I can appreciate it, right? Because it's different. It's not like bright poppy color and black outlines like everything else is. It kind of has its own thing. But that was one of my first thoughts, I guess, was that it looked a little like just muted, I guess, in its color palette. But in episode 3, there's plenty of pink, I can tell you that. So it does get a little brighter in that episode. The brief synopsis I'll give you without spoiling anything for the next 2 are episode 2, they need to find a new camp mascot. The way that the original camp mascot ends up leaving the picture caught me off guard to like a crazy belly laugh. Like, it was really good. And then episode 3, we learn about 2 other camps that are in the neighboring area, and a few of the campers end up at each one of those things. So it's kind of branching out. I had a Wet Hot American Summer vibe from it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, man, this is a show I want to stick with. Knowing that the first season's all free on YouTube, I would definitely recommend people check it out because, man, it's so easy to just throw on. But I don't know, it's just like written pretty well. Like, it's got some. I feel like because it's a web series, it knows who its audience is and it plays to that audience. It doesn't have to do these like lowest common denominator jokes. that have
Right,
to
yeah.
hit a wide audience.
Yeah, it knows the Rooster Teeth group is already looking for something maybe a little crude. So they do it well without just being like, all in your face with it.
Yeah, I feel like there were a couple of references throughout the show that I've heard that were either like to obscure video games or like some internet culture type of thing. And I appreciated it. I was like, oh, these little kids know that. I know that. And I'm an old man. Like, it was pretty great. So, yeah, man, this is a show I want to watch more of. Camp. Can't recommend it enough. So, and I also can't say it much faster than that. Say it 7 times fast. No thanks. Cool. Yeah.
Camp.
Yeah, wait, which show are you talking about? I'm not sure. Now we're just stalling. Brad, let's get out of here. Where can we find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me at brad on Twitter, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Check them out over there. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Jacob Williams. And if you want more Toon Talk Weekly, we're on Twitter at Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. We also have our video show. It gets posted with all of the episodes over at toontalkweekly.com. But we've got a handful of new subscribers recently. So thank you guys if you're enjoying the show. Recommend to your friends and hit that subscribe button on YouTube so I can actually have a link to send you guys. That would be easier. toontalkweekly@gmail.com is the place to send any messages. Let us know if you've ever been to summer camp and what it's all about, because Brad and I are completely foreign to this, and I don't know where people actually go to summer camp. By all means, I grew up in a place on the Northeast where I probably should have gone to a summer camp. It makes a lot of sense, but apparently I didn't. So, and as I mentioned, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. You can find any and all episodes over there as well. We're up to 230 now, so we're still rolling ahead. Close to 250. I guess I say close, but it's not till next year. But at the same time, man, do these things go by fast when you do a weekly show.
Yeah, definitely does.
Just rolls right in. So that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the show and hope everybody's having a nice start to your holiday season. We will catch you next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter at Toon Talk Weekly.